Liberty Falls is one of the most heated topics in the Call of Duty Zombies community right now, but I believe it could save Black Ops 6 Zombies. Hey guys, so I don't usually do videos like this of me just talking into the mic because, you know me, usually I have a script and I do a lot of research behind my videos, and you know, my upload schedule kind of lacks because of that, and I'm sorry. But ever since all of this Liberty Falls information and general Black Ops 6 Zombies information came out yesterday at COD Next, I do believe I just want to come out here and talk and rant a little bit with you guys. So let me know what you guys think of this style of content, because I need something to do for Black Ops 6 obviously, and making those videos is a little bit difficult for Black Ops 6. Alright, so Call of Duty Next went live yesterday, and with it came loads of content for all the modes. Obviously we got Liberty Falls reveal with the trailer and the live gameplay from all the YouTubers and streamers who showed up to the event. All the content creators at the event seemed to be having fun regardless if they were a Zombies YouTuber or not, and if you looked closely, a lot of them were actually searching for mini Easter eggs within the map, even though, you know, side Easter eggs and the main Easter egg were disabled. However, people watching the event back at home seemed to dislike what they saw with the map opposite from what we saw from Terminus. I was genuinely shocked myself, because as I was watching the event, I had multiple tabs up. You know, I had the COD Next tab up, I had Mr. Raffle Waffles up, which congrats on 2 million, by the way, that was insane, and I also had Mr. Dalek JD, who was actually at the event and was playing the game, and there were a ton of negative comments. They were just filled to the brim, especially in Milo's chat. There was so much negativity in that chat that I genuinely believe that the entire Zombies community was just brain dead yesterday. There was genuinely not a single positive comment in that entire comment section, and after looking at Twitter, it did not get much better. There were a lot of complaints, especially about the whole Warzone and multiplayer attraction for the camo grind, and there's a lot to unpack about why I don't feel this way about Liberty Falls, so let's start by going back in time a little bit. So taking a look back at particularly what we saw in Black Ops 3, which in my opinion is the perfect launch for a Zombies title, the map scheme here is very similar. Terminus is the Shadows of Evil in the sense in which it is complicated and filled to the brim with new content that we have never seen from Zombies, while Liberty Falls in a sense is the Giant, in which it is just a simplistic map that you can go on to kill some zombies and just have a fun time if you wanted a casual Zombies experience. Now, for looking statistically at Black Ops 3, the majority of people at launch were actually playing the Giant instead because of its simplicity and casual nature. Shadows of Evil is still a good map, and it did take time to realize that, but the Giant overshadowed it because of its simplicity. Now, this is no different to Black Ops 6 having Terminus and Liberty Falls. Liberty Falls and the Giant are very different from one another, obviously. I mean, Liberty Falls does not have that familiarity factor that the Giant had with Doris, and the atmosphere in the Giant was just unprecedented, and clearly we don't have that in Liberty Falls, but I'll talk about that later. But the Giant was very familiar to the community because of Doris, and because of that, I think that's why the majority of people were playing the Giant at launch. Now, Liberty Falls is looking to be a little more than just a simple survival map like the Giant, or maybe even something more akin to like Classified, because of all of the side Easter eggs and of course the main Easter egg, which I don't really even know how they're going to include, just because I was not expecting this map to be this small. I mean, I was expecting it to be small, but not this small. The Black Ops 3 style of launch is pretty much what we're seeing here, and in my opinion, it is the perfect duality. If we had something like a Black Ops 4 launch, I couldn't really see myself complaining about that, but it brought so much argument and controversy in the community that I just think this is the perfect duality. The fact that Treyarch are marketing a Zombies mode for both the hardcore and the casual fans is just fantastic, and Liberty Falls still has plenty of content. Don't get it twisted. Obviously, as mentioned earlier, with the main Easter egg and side Easter eggs that were all disabled for the gameplay. Now, this is where we get into the juicy part of the video, because there are insane amounts of YouTube comments going around that just says Liberty Falls sucks. Now, for those saying Liberty Falls sucks, I can't really agree with you, but I can see where you are coming from. At face value, this map is clearly inferior to Terminus Island. There is absolutely no question in my mind about that, and I don't think anyone in the community really argues about that. It's actually funny, I saw a poll about 2 days ago recently with one of my fellow Zombies creators, MCC, and it asked his community what map they were more excited for prior to the release of all of the content for Liberty Falls, Falls, and the majority of the community actually voted for Liberty Falls. Then we saw all of the content for Liberty Falls. He then put out another poll and Terminus got the majority vote. So it was very clear that the overall community was taking Liberty Falls and comparing it to all of the content from Terminus immediately, which should not have been the point in the first place. About a week ago, the general consensus of the overall community was that Terminus would be that huge expansive experience with tons of content, while Liberty Falls would just be simply a survival-esque map. However, I actually think Treyarch is partially to blame with the hate towards this map, because the Liberty Falls cinematic trailer released and everybody immediately became excited and just assumed that the map would be as big as Terminus. Now obviously now that is not the truth, but looking back it seemed that way because of the Liberty Falls cinematic trailer with all that epic stuff and Richthofen and everything. However, I think this is perfect. As mentioned earlier, this community needs zombies maps that are very simplistic in which people can just jump in and casually slay zombies. And since this isn't the only map at launch, we have that thought in the back of our minds that tells us that Terminus also exists and is filled to the brim with content that is all new and seemingly an atmospheric upgrade. In my eyes, the developers are trying to keep that average multiplayer and Warzone player engaged, and honestly I could care less. That just brings more attention to zombies, which in turn will get them to try out the more complex maps, and who knows, maybe they will fall in love with it like I did so many years ago. Obviously it shouldn't be the main focus of the mode, but it isn't, and I am so excited for having both of these maps. Now the only issue I can really see arising with this map is that DLC maps in the future could be going in the same path as Liberty Falls. I do believe that Liberty Falls will be the only survival kind of map, and the rest of the DLC should be something more akin to hopefully Terminus, but I'm not entirely sure obviously because you can't really predict those things. Yesterday at the COD Next event, Kevin Drew himself did reveal that we would be getting DLC 1 for Black Ops 6 before the end of 2024, meaning that we will be getting 3 zombies maps before the end of the year, which is certainly interesting, and I hope that they can understand that one simple map is definitely enough. Now, am I saying that I would hate to have a bunch of zombies maps in one game with the story and atmosphere of something like Mob or Origins? No, and I'm actually happy we aren't seeing that, because the duality of simplicity and complexity is certainly important. But that does not mean that every map up until the final DLC needs to be completely boring and bland and then have a massive ending with the last DLC. I guarantee you as a zombies player, you do not always feel like playing Shadows of Evil or Ancient Evil or even Dead of the Night, because we are all human, and playing those maps with long setups could get extremely laborious, which is why having this map is a good thing. Now that was certainly a lot, but there are a couple things I can most definitely get behind in terms of the community. Atmospherically, this map looks completely soulless. I'm seeing this all over the internet and I can completely agree here. I see a lot of people online saying that it looks like Cold War, but in my opinion it looks very similar to what we see in Modern Warfare Zombies. Now I will say before anything that the Dark Ether portion of this map with the Pack-a-Punch machine is aesthetically beautiful, and the Dark Ether just looks amazing. It's really hard to mess that up, to be honest. However, the outside of the map, where you're probably going to be spending the majority of your time, looks very boring, bland, and unsaturated. Recently, I'm seeing a certain trend going around zombies games with this unsaturation. We saw it especially in Modern Warfare Zombies, and I just can't get over it. It just looks horrible, and we need to saturate our maps. Now, obviously, this is a little harder to work with since it is a daytime map, so it already is at somewhat of a disadvantage, but look at maps like Shangri-La, Gorod Krovi, or heck, even Firebase Z at times. Those maps look aesthetically beautiful, and they all take place during the day, so I don't really understand why this whole unsaturation issue is really prevalent in today's zombies. Another thing is that this map is a representation of Cold War and Modern Warfare Zombies, as I mentioned earlier, in terms of the art direction, and I can completely agree that this map does not really look like a zombies map. Besides the Dark Ether, there is just burning buildings and cars crashed, and that's really about it. There is very minimal destruction, and there's not really even like a lot of blood around the map. I know that's not really something everybody wants to see, but it's not like scary or anything. Obviously, it doesn't really have to be. Not every map has to be focused on horror, but at least make it seem like a zombie apocalypse happened here, you know? Compared to Terminus, this map is completely overshadowed, and you know, I don't really have a big deal with that, but a bunch of people in the community right now are having mixed feelings about it. I think I've said it in the past in a couple videos, but atmosphere is one of, if not the most important part to the overall map, and people just don't understand that. Cold War lacks it heavily, and unfortunately I can kind of see it bleeding into Liberty Falls here. Now, as a potential fix, it is a little more difficult to come up with a solution. Now, obviously, we are about 2 months away from the release of this game, and Treyarch really can't do anything major to change this up, but they could probably make the skybox slightly darker and maybe add like some weather effect into the map. I can understand that they're trying to go for that fall, beautiful West Virginia type of vibe, but it really isn't translating well into zombies, and I think there could be a little bit more done to this map to make it more fleshed out. Now, another thing that I noticed from a ton of Twitter posts and comments all over YouTube was the idea of the HUD, or the heads-up display, which is pretty much just everything on your screen being shown at once. I don't really want to get too much into this because while I do think it is extremely important, this is a problem for the overall Black Ops 6 Zombies experience and not just Liberty Falls as a map. I will say though, I believe that the HUD actually ruined this reveal a little bit for us, and let me explain a bit. When Terminus was revealed and all of the gameplay came out for the game, the B-roll footage that was given to the Zombies YouTubers was played without a HUD on the screen, and the community reception was extremely positive. Obviously, this is not at all because of the HUD not being there, but I believe it does correlate because when we saw our first look at Liberty Falls gameplay, people were bashing it for looking bad. I am almost fully convinced that if the gameplay shown yesterday was given to us without a HUD, the overall community feeling towards this map actually might be a little bit different. But I digress. The HUD is a problem, but it is not a problem particularly with Liberty Falls. Additionally, there are a couple smaller things in this map that have arisen as issues, and I can kind of agree with them. Firstly, the reuse of the vermin enemy from Terminus almost seems completely out of place in my opinion. I mean, why are spiders in West Virginia? And the fact that the Mangler and Abomination are clearly not new, and so there's just no new bosses, it's just not fun. Now, of course, this is all but confirmed because all of the Easter eggs and side Easter eggs were disabled for the gameplay we saw yesterday, so who knows, maybe there could be a special enemy that comes out to give you a key or maybe an item or something like that. Obviously, there is no set crew for this map, and honestly, I am completely fine with that. I don't think it needs to have a set crew. It would be nice if it had a set crew, but it really isn't the biggest deal in the world like people are making it out to be. If we are comparing this smaller map to something like Town, which it obviously isn't, there's so much more content in this map than Town, but if you just look back at Town, there were just CIA and CDC dudes who were really just there waltzing around the map, but there was Transit on the other hand that did have that set crew, and that is just what we're seeing here with Terminus and Liberty Falls in a sense. Additionally, the Wonder Fizz system isn't really my favorite thing in the world, and I think Treyarch said one time that the Wonder Fizz would be placed in more difficult situations, but it's literally on top of a roof in one of the most safest parts of the map, so I don't really know what they're thinking there. But anyways, that is pretty much about it with the major complaints I saw about this map, and it really is turning people away from what this mode has to offer in general, not just Liberty Falls, but Terminus as well. However, please remember that Terminus is indeed a map coming at launch as well, with pretty much everything in it that people are complaining about with Liberty Falls. I personally will be playing Terminus at the launch of this game, but that does not mean whatsoever that I will not be hopping on Liberty Falls from time to time. There is nothing wrong with wanting to enjoy a casual experience, and I think Liberty Falls will be the perfect map to just hop on and just kill some zombies and get some of those epic camo challenges done, because seriously, they do look amazing. Ultimately, when you get bored of doing the long setup process, you are going to want to have a map that is simple, and I think people are just overlooking this idea. I know this is not a traditional style of video for me. I do have one coming out very soon, I promise, but let me know what you guys think of me just kind of ranting a bit with minimal edits, or what you guys want to see more from me when Black Ops 6 releases. With that said, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.